The hip-hop world just shook when one of rap's most respected legends, Snoop Dogg, dropped a bombshell statement. During a casual conversation, he confidently declared, "Kendrick's next verse is going to finish Drake's career. He's done." One sentence. That's all it took to set the internet on fire. Fans immediately rushed to Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube to argue about whether Snoop's words were pure exaggeration or a glimpse into the storm that's about to hit. On one side, you have Drake, the global superstar with countless hits, mainstream dominance, and crossover success. On the other, Kendrick Lamar, the lyrical assassin, the Pulitzer Prize-winning rapper who represents artistry, depth, and raw honesty. But here's the question echoing through the culture. Right now, can a single verse truly end the career of one of the biggest artists of our time? Let's dive deep into this explosive prediction. When Snoop Dogg speaks, the world listens. He isn't just a rapper, he's a cultural icon, a bridge between hip-hop's golden age and the modern era. So, when he looked straight into the camera during a recent interview and declared, he's done, Kendrick's next verse will finish Drake's career, it wasn't just another casual remark, it was a warning shot that set the hip-hop world ablaze. For years, Drake and Kendrick Lamar have existed in a tense rivalry, a silent war carried through subliminals, lyrical jabs, and competing achievements. Drake, known for his versatility and chart dominance, has been the face of mainstream rap for over a decade. Kendrick, on the other hand, has built his legacy on artistry, conscious lyrics, and the kind of timeless verses that make fans pause and reflect. Both men stand tall, but their differences have always been clear. What made Snoop's comments so powerful is the weight of his legacy. This is a man who stood beside legends like Tupac Shakur and Dr. Dre, who witnessed the East Coast-West Coast wars firsthand, and who has always been respected for his unfiltered honesty. When Snoop says something about the state of hip-hop, people know he isn't speaking lightly. Immediately after the interview aired, Twitter caught fire. Hashtags like #Kendrick vs Drake and #Snoop said it began trending. Fans debated whether Kendrick's pen was sharp enough to finish Drake, while others argued Drake's global dominance made such an idea impossible. Memes flooded Instagram, some showing Kendrick holding a sword over a fallen Drake. Others mocking the idea by posting Drake's hit records with captions like, "Finished, he's untouchable." But beneath the jokes and memes was a very real tension. For years, hip-hop has been waiting for a true head-to-head collision between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. They've danced around each other, dropping verses that felt aimed but never fully direct, leaving fans hungry for a definitive battle. Snoop's words reignited that hunger, fueling speculation that maybe, just maybe, Kendrick is about to drop a verse so heavy, it would force the world to reevaluate Drake's place in the culture. To understand the magnitude of this, you have to look back at their history. Drake and Kendrick started as collaborators, with Kendrick even appearing on Drake's Take Care tours and delivering standout verses on songs like Buried Alive, Interlude, and Poetic Justice. At that time, it seemed like the two were destined to push each other forward, but cracks began to show when Kendrick delivered his now legendary verse on Big Sean's Control, where he called out nearly every major rapper, including Drake. Fans saw it as a declaration of war. Drake responded in his usual sly way through interviews and subtle bars on records, but never directly. Kendrick, however, doubled down, dropping performances and tracks that made it clear he wasn't afraid to challenge anyone, including Drake. Their rivalry simmered quietly for years, a cold war with no full-scale battle. Yet, that's why Snoop's statement landed like a bombshell. It wasn't just commentary, it felt like prophecy. Coming from a West Coast icon, his words carried extra weight, almost like he was passing the torch, signaling that Kendrick was about to take hip-hop into a new chapter. For Drake fans, the idea was almost unthinkable. Drake has shattered streaming records, sold out arenas worldwide, and reinvented himself countless times. How could one verse finish him? Yet for Kendrick fans, the statement was electrifying. They pointed to Kendrick's past verses like The Heart Part 4 or DNA as proof of his ability to eviscerate opponents lyrically, not just win but dominate. As the debate grew, so did the anticipation. Every tweet from Kendrick's camp was analyzed, every snippet of music speculated on. Fans began saying that his next release wouldn't just be music, it would be history. Snoop had planted the seed, and now the world was waiting to see if Kendrick would truly deliver a verse powerful enough to shake Drake's empire. And in that waiting, hip-hop found itself on the edge of one of the most anticipated showdowns in years. As the dust settled from Snoop Dogg's explosive comment, the hip-hop community found itself in a frenzy. Journalists, bloggers, podcasters, and fans alike dissected every angle. What did Snoop know that others didn't? Was Kendrick already sitting on a verse aimed at Drake? And more importantly, if this was true, what would it mean for the culture? Hip-hop thrives on competition, from KRS-One battling Mekshan to Nas and Jassie's legendary feud. Lyrical clashes have always been the heartbeat of the genre. But in recent years, with rap turning more mainstream, the stakes have shifted. Artists are measured not just by bars, but by streaming numbers, brand deals, and crossover appeal. Drake has mastered this game. He's a global pop rap superstar who can dominate hip-hop charts one week, drop a dance record the next, and still headline festivals worldwide. Kendrick, however, has played a different game, one rooted in depth, substance, and artistry. His verses are studied like poetry. His albums dissected like literature. This fundamental difference is why a direct clash between them feels so monumental. It isn't just two rappers trading dissonance to philosophies of hip-hop colliding. Drake represents dominance through accessibility and consistency. Kendrick represents mastery through artistry and cultural impact. Who wins in such a clash? That's the question burning in everyone's minds. In the weeks following Snoop's remarks, rumors began to swirl. Some insiders claimed Kendrick had already recorded his verse, a blistering track that would appear either on a surprise single or as part of his next album. Others whispered that Drake was aware of the incoming storm and was preparing a response in advance. Screenshots of alleged group chats leaked online, suggesting members of Kendrick's team were loading up. None of it could be verified, but the speculation only fueled the fire. Meanwhile, Snoop remained quiet. He didn't clarify, didn't backtrack, didn't soften his words. That silence spoke volumes. It left fans wondering if he had heard something behind closed doors, maybe a preview of Kendrick's pen in motion. If Snoop was confident enough to declare Drake done, then surely there was substance behind the prophecy. For Drake, the timing couldn't have been worse. His reign as a chart titan remained unchallenged, but public perception had begun to shift. Critics pointed out that while Drake had mastered the formula for hits, some of his recent projects lacked the cultural weight of his earlier classics. Kendrick, on the other hand, had recently earned a Pulitzer Prize for his album, Damn, solidifying his status as not just a rapper, but an artist of historical importance. The cultural momentum seemed to be leaning in Kendrick's favor. Every time he dropped, even after years of silence, the world stopped to listen. His ability to turn verses into global conversations was unmatched. Fans argued that if Kendrick really decided to aim his full lyrical firepower at Drake, it could reshape the hip-hop landscape entirely. Then came the fan theories. YouTube channels released hour-long breakdowns predicting exactly how Kendrick would dismantle Drake. Some argued he'd call out Drake's alleged use of revisiting the controversy Meek Mill had raised years before. Others believed Kendrick would attack Drake's reputation for jumping between genres, suggesting he lacked a true identity in hip-hop. More radical theories claimed Kendrick might even take aim at Drake's personal life, something the Toronto rapper has always fiercely protected. The anticipation grew so intense that even other rappers began weighing in. Some sided with Drake, praising his consistency and dominance. Others subtly hinted that Kendrick's pen was unmatched. Social media turned into a battleground, with fans of both camps trading shots, creating memes and posting polls. The debate wasn't just about music anymore, it became about identity, loyalty, and what people wanted hip-hop to stand for in the future. The industry also braced itself. Labels, promoters, and streaming platforms understood the stakes. A full-scale lyrical war between Drake and Kendrick wouldn't just dominate headlines, it would dominate the charts, the culture, and even the economy of hip-hop. Imagine two of the biggest rappers alive trading diss tracks in real time, each release breaking records and sparking cultural moments. It would be a modern-day version of Nas vs. JBEU, but amplified to global proportions. Meanwhile, Kendrick remained silent. No interviews, no cryptic tweets, no subtle hints. That silence became louder with each passing day. Fans began interpreting it as focused Kendrick working in the shadows, sharpening his pen, preparing something earth-shattering. The more he stayed quiet, the more people believed Snoop's prophecy was about to come true. Drake, on the other hand, carried on with business as usual. He posted pictures from his tour, teased snippets of new music, and kept his public image intact. But fans noticed subtle changes. His captions seemed a little sharper, his tone more defensive in interviews. Some believed he was bracing himself, preparing to protect the empire he had built over the past 15 years. The tension was palpable. Hip-hop hadn't seen this kind of anticipation in years. The world wasn't just waiting for a verse, it was waiting for history. Snoop's prediction had lit a fire under the culture, and everyone knew something big was on the horizon. The question wasn't if Kendrick would respond, it was when. And when he finally did, the world would stop. The night it happened, the internet nearly broke. A surprise notification hit streaming platforms worldwide. A new track from Kendrick Lamar had just dropped. No announcement, no promo, no warning, just a sudden upload titled with a cryptic phrase that immediately set the hip-hop community ablaze. Within minutes, social media timelines were flooded, fans hit play, critics scrambled to write their takes, and rappers across the industry listened in silence. From the very first bar, it was clear, Kendrick wasn't holding back. His voice carried a razor-sharp intensity, every word layered with precision. He didn't dance around the subject, he went straight for the jugular. While he never said Drake's name outright, the references were unmistakable. Every line dripped with venom, crafted to dismantle the carefully polished image Drake had built over the years. Kendrick revisited the ghostwriting accusations. But this time with surgical precision, he painted Drake not just as someone who outsourced lyrics, but as a symbol of a hollow empire propped up by marketing rather than artistry. Then, with a masterstroke of storytelling, Kendrick contrasted that with his own journey, grinding from Compton, staying true to the craft, and earning respect not through charts alone but through cultural weight. The verse didn't just attack, it elevated. It reminded the world why Kendrick is considered one of the greatest lyricists alive. His metaphors hit like thunder. His cadence shifted seamlessly between aggression and calm. And his storytelling painted Drake as a man trapped by fame, chasing trends instead of leading them. The internet erupted. Hashtags like hashtag Kendrick vs Drake and hashtag he's single quotes s done trended worldwide. Fans dissected every line, every double entendre, every subliminal jab. Memes flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Within hours, the track had millions of streams and critical acclaim from every corner of the industry. Even outlets that usually avoided beef coverage couldn't resist. They called it a cultural reset, a lyrical earthquake, and the verse that may define a generation. Drake's fans fought back, of course. They argued that Drake's versatility, his ability to dominate multiple genres, still made him untouchable. They promised a response was coming, that the Sixth God wouldn't stay silent. But even they couldn't deny the magnitude of what had just happened. For the first time in years, Drake seemed vulnerable, not because of gossip, not because of controversy, but because of bars. Meanwhile, Kendrick's silence after the drop spoke volumes. He didn't post on social media. He didn't give interviews. He let the music speak, and it echoed louder than any promo campaign ever could. Fans saw it as a declaration. Kendrick wasn't interested in clout, he was interested in legacy. Industry insiders began whispering that this moment would reshape hip-hop. Labels worried about picking sides, knowing that aligning too closely with one artist might alienate the other's massive fan base. Promoters and festivals braced for a surge in demand. Knowing that any stage featuring both rappers could turn into history, Snoop Dogg, the man who sparked it all, finally broke his silence. On Instagram Live, with a sly grin, he simply said, "I told y'all, sometimes you just gotta let the young kings play chess." That one sentence was enough to confirm that Snoop had indeed seen this coming, maybe even heard a preview of the verse before the world did. Now the ball was in Drake's court. Would he respond immediately, dropping a diss track of his own to reclaim control? Or would he wait, strategize, and attempt to turn the narrative in his favor? Every move was high stakes. In hip-hop history, battles like this weren't just about music, they were about legacy. Nas vs. Jay-Z still defines conversations 2 decades later. Tupac vs. Biggie reshaped the culture forever. Kendrick vs. Drake was already carving its place among those legendary rivalries. Fans speculated non-stop. Some believed Drake would unleash a scorched earth response, leaning into his sharp wit and clever punchlines. Others argued he might take the high road, dismissing Kendrick's verse as irrelevant while continuing to dominate charts. But deep down, everyone knew, if Drake didn't answer with equal or greater firepower, Snoop's prophecy, "he's done," might become reality. The world waited. Every passing hour without a response added to the tension. Every cryptic post, every leaked snippet, every insider rumor kept fans on edge. Hip-hop hadn't felt this alive in years. It wasn't about algorithms or playlists anymore, it was about bars, credibility, and legacy. No matter how the battle ended, one truth had already been cemented. Kendrick Lamar had reminded the world that in a culture built on lyricism, authenticity still mattered. And Drake, for all his dominance, would have to prove once again why he belonged in the same conversation. This battle isn't just about two rappers, it's about the future of hip-hop. Kendrick has set the internet on fire, and fans are calling this the moment Drake's career changed forever. But what do you think? Will Drake come back stronger, with a response that silences the critics, or has Kendrick already delivered the knockout punch? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be featuring the best ones in our next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive updates on the biggest rap feud of the decade. Stay tuned, this war is just beginning.